There were a lot of questions about your daily routine. People love this. The morning routine, the daily routine. And while I have to believe that everybody's necessary routine is quite different from the next, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a sense of like the first couple hours of your day, what that typically looks like when you're like not traveling and you're settled into a place.
It's different depending on the place that I'm in, but typically it involves waking up, going out into the sun as naked as possible to start the day. I try to wake up slowly. And probably within an hour of that, I'll leave the house and go for as long of a beach walk as possible. Or if I'm in a place where there's a gym several days a week, I'll go to the gym instead. But I'll do some activity, I would say about an hour after waking up. Sometimes it's an hour and a half, sometimes it's less, depending on the place I'm at. I also might do stretching before I go on the walk and do just several stretches on yoga mats on the floor or with foam rollers or balls or some different things. I don't start my day until those things are out of the way. I try to avoid any work-related anything. Now, that said, if a thought comes up that I'm excited about, I'll note it. I won't avoid thoughts, but I tend not to engage in any work until probably 11 o'clock. 11 a.m. would be the soonest, and some days not until 1 o'clock. And then I do focused work until maybe 6. And then I spend the rest of the night trying to wind down out of work mode.
So 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. are really the peak,
probably,
quote unquote, work hours.
Yeah, it could be 11 too. Like today we started here at 11, and I felt like I'd be good by 11, and I already did my morning walk. I had the argument on the beach. I was in the sun. I was in the hot tub. I had a whole morning already.
And then what does your evening wind down look like in terms of the space that you're in or trying to create and your internal landscape?
Well, it's only red light. I'm usually wearing, from the time the sun sets, I'm wearing red glasses. I'm in a space with only red light. I'm 99% of the time home with my family. And we talk. I might watch wrestling or a documentary with red glasses on. We eat dinner together, or we eat dinner in shifts, depending on how it's working, but we're all together. And I find something to occupy my mind that gets me out of the workday. That said, sometimes the ideas still flow, and I'll note them. But I avoid any kind of a work phone call or anything that's stimulating or that will get me thinking about it. I aim for sunset, and then I'm usually in bed by 10, and fall asleep within 15 minutes.
Your relationship to light is fascinating. The sunlight piece makes a lot of sense and will make sense to the listeners of this podcast. We haven't done too many episodes, but we will do more that covers the trying to avoid bright light exposure in the evening. You're wearing the red lens glasses now, even though it's the middle of the day. That's because we've got these bright lights around us, correct?
Yeah.
And have you found that limiting your bright artificial light exposure in the evening has benefited you, and in what ways?
Absolutely. And once you've done it, once you've changed and avoid like looking at screens, or my phone turns red at night. When I see someone else's phone, if someone comes to visit and their phone lights up at night, it's blinding. And it's so disturbing. And for them, that's normal. They're in this heightened blown out place all the time. I'm staying at neutral. I'm staying at the more natural, how the world would be if man didn't create all of these loud things,
Yeah.
loud devices. When it goes from the thing you love to the thing you do for work, it's an issue. And to get back to that, I do this because I love this more than anything. I do this not because I got a good review, not because I sold a lot of copies. I do this because this is what I do. It's what I've always wanted to do. And I'm going to continue doing it with the same head that I went into it in the first place, that allowed me to be successful in the first place. So it's helpful to remember what gets you there. And usually what gets you there is the first thing that gets snuffed out in success. When you're in the writing stage, there can be no other concerns other than what's the most interesting thing to me here now. That's all. And then when it's done and there are no more creative decisions to be made and the book is written and you have, it may not be the final version of the book, but where you know exactly what the book is, you've said what you want to say and you feel good about it. That would be the first time to think about, okay, what could a cover look like? What could the marketing look like? Who's the audience for this? If you start thinking who the audience is before you start writing, it's going to really muddy the water. But anytime you get attached to a method for a romantic reason, you know it works.
Yes.
And I'm not suggesting using another method because it's easier or saves you time, but maybe by experimenting with the other method, you learn something new about your process that you didn't know. And that's always good. One of the things I recommend in the book is like creating the equivalent of creating office hours, having a schedule to work where you say, I'm going to sit down for this. Could be 20 minutes, could be 3 hours, up to you, what that window is, how you want to do it. But make a commitment, show up every day. And then there's no excuse, regardless of whether anything gets made during that window. You're not waiting for the right moment to start. You're starting and you're doing it every day and you're doing it at the same time every day. And you're building the habit of, I'm going to sit here every day, even if it's just to sit here and be bored. Something good will eventually come from that practice, whatever it is. Yeah, I love music that is outside of time. And and one of the things about using organic instruments is a piano sounds like a piano 100 years ago, and it sounds like a piano today. Sure. And it'll sound like a piano in 100 years. If you use the latest sounds, the newest sounds, the sounds of today, then tomorrow they'll sound like the sounds of yesterday.
Yes.
So it's a very delicate line to work with the newest of sounds, because it can end up sounding very dated. If you listen to music from the 80s, invariably it sounds like that's the music of the 80s because of it just has a dated sound. And that really is more because of technology than anything else. The best music has this, it's rooted in something timeless. And when it's really exciting is when it sounds like it's timeless and it sounds like you've never heard anything like it before. That's radical. It doesn't sound like a copy of something from the past. It sounds like this has the roots and lineage of something from the past, but it's made into something radically new. If you're inspired by an idea from 200 years ago, that's not on everyone's top of mind today.
Yeah.
So it has a freshness that's different. Whereas if you make a song that sounds like the song that just played on the radio, yes, that's the current sound, but it's also, well, that was just on the radio. Why bother making one that sounds like that? That's one's already out. But we want to try every idea. We want to see where it leads, because you never know. You really never know what's going to work and what's not going to work. If someone says, I have an idea, I want to do this, and you hear the idea and it sounds bad. like when I imagine what's being said sounds bad. And like, okay, let's hear it. And then they demonstrate it and it's great. And that's an example of where the language of explaining things doesn't do it justice. One of the things I talk about in the book is always, make a model. Always don't talk about it. Show what it is that you're doing. Yes. Don't say the kind of article you want to write. Write the article, show me the article, then we talk about the article. And what's great about that also is it takes it out of the personal. If you have an idea, it's your idea. And then we could argue about your idea, and that's personal. Whereas once it's on paper, it's outside of you, and it's this thing that we're collaborating on together to make it be the best it could be. We're not talking about your idea now. We're talking about, is this sentence the best sentence it could be? Mm-hmm. That's not a slight against you. We're working together to make this sentence the best it could be. Sometimes it's not about the story. It's just about the way the words make you feel. I remember asking Neil Young about, if he knows what his songs mean. He said he has no idea. Yeah, I don't think that there's a right way to do anything. And I would never dictate to anyone else how to do anything. If someone asks, I would say, maybe this is how I would try it. But I would never assume that that's what's going to be best for them, because you can't know. There's a lot of talk about AI art now. Yeah. And that if all of the inputs into the AI are the same, which they will be from all the competing AIs, they'll all have the same database, that eventually, as they get better and better, and you put in the parameters of what you're looking for, they'll all spit out the same answer. Now, and that's technically the right answer. Now, if you were going to engage with a subject and another writer was going to engage with a subject and you were both right about it, the chances of those articles being similar or books being similar, the subject will be the same, but the perspective is completely different. If you want to live in a creative way, which will benefit everything in your life, be a better person in your family, be a better, if you're starting a new business, do a better job of starting a new business. It's all the same. I don't really know anything about music. It's more a way of looking at the world and wanting it to be the best it could possibly be and doing whatever it takes to be the best it could possibly be and being true to knowing that no one else knows. I'm not saying I know, but that everyone's idea is as valuable as mine. We're all creators. From the beginning, I never thought any of the things that I'm doing were possible or realistic. And I just did things out of the love of them, thinking I would have real jobs. And, the thing that my passion would be my hobby, and I'd have a job to support my hobby.
Yeah.
And it just magically turned out different than that without me knowing it was possible. The stars line up at certain times for certain things to happen, and they happen. And sometimes you can make something great and it doesn't connect for whatever reason. I found this out from making a lot of stuff. Sometimes you make two things that you think are the two best things you've ever made, and one of them connects with the world and one of them doesn't. And it might not have anything to do with what's in the art. It might have to do with, it came out the same day as this other thing came out, and that got in the way, or there was a bigger story at the time, or there was some other, who knows, or it's not it's not in the cards for that person to have that success. It's like there's so much to it that we don't understand.
Yeah.
All we can do is make something good and put it out and hope for the best, and that's all there is. We never know why does something work? Even if you make a piece of art, you might, and it works, you may not know why. It's like there are a lot of talented people who never make it because they don't have the work ethic to make it.
Yeah.
It's not just talent. Like, talent's a piece.
Yeah.
And you could argue for some people the work ethic trumps the talent, you know? Having worked with a lot of bands, I see that there's often this friction where, and I'm sure you've seen it in a writing room for comedy, where people are trying to get their idea in.
Yeah.
That's not a collaboration.
No.
It's something else. A real collaboration is when everyone who's there is working together towards whatever is the best thing for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And whether it's your idea or someone else's idea, it doesn't matter. And if you're invested in the collaboration, you want the best idea to win. You don't want your idea to win.
Right.
What makes it great is the personal.
Yeah.
With all of its imperfections, with all of its quirkiness, that's what makes it great. How you see the world, that's different from how everyone else sees the world. That's why you're an artist. That's your purpose in sharing your work with the world.
And that seems to be the case with everything. With literature, it's definitely the case with stand-up comedy.
Everything.
We experience that in stand-up comedy where there's these kind of derivative voices where they're kind of like finding what they think other people want to hear, and they start saying it because they've heard other people say similar things that are now successful.
And even if they have some sort of a short-term success doing that, it's not revolutionary. It doesn't change the world. It doesn't last. You know, it can be a momentary thing, but it's never the thing. It's the people who you first see and you might not like that you come to like because you don't understand them at first. Those are the ones that change the world.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you dedicate your fandom to for life. You can't second guess your own taste for what someone else is going to like. It won't be good.
Right.
We're not smart enough to know what someone else is going to like. To make something. Well, I don't really like it, but I think this group of people like it. It's a bad way to play the game of music or art. You have to do what's personal to you. Take it as far as you could go. Really push the boundaries, and people will resonate with it if they're supposed to resonate with it. We really are talking about magic. We're talking about like the universe conspiring on our behalf if we let it, and to be in this flow of catching these waves that anyone can catch if you're trying to catch it, you're open to it, you see it coming, you take off on every chance you get, and sometimes the ride happens, and it's remarkable. It's remarkable how it happens. And it doesn't come from, it's not preconceived, it's not an idea, it's through the doing. These things that want to be, that the universe wants to happen now, comes through us. And if we don't do it, maybe someone else will do it. Have you ever had that experience where you have an idea for something and you don't do it, and then 6 months later you see that someone else has done it? It's not because they took your idea. It's that it's time for that. And you can act on it or not. And if you see, and the artists, the best artists are the ones who have the best antenna for this material that's available. It's coming through. The best comedians see the best jokes. They see them coming. We all live in the same world. The way you see it, you have the best joke because you see it best. And one of the reasons I believe that you can see it best is because you don't believe what the structure around you assumes to be the case. So much of it has to do with humor. Like when it's good, it makes you laugh, even if it's not funny. Like the surprise nature of things. When you hear the unexpected, you laugh. And it feels good. It's a good feeling. Because what collaborating is about is we're always collaborating at all times with the universe. That's how it works. Like, we're taking in information, we're vibing on it. In the past, when someone would recommend something to me, it sounded like it wasn't for me. It's like, oh, okay. Now, if more than one person recommends something to me that sounds bad, I always check it out, because it's like the universe wants me to know about this. The way it tells me is a couple of people came up and said, why don't you check this out? That's, if we listen to what's going on around us, you can overhear a conversation in a coffee shop, and it is the setup for an idea that you're talking about, the right way to say a particular joke that you're working on. You hear a phrase. It's not a phrase you commonly use. You hear someone else say it. My experience is, when you are open and looking for these clues in the world, they're happening all the time, and they're happening often right when you need them. I don't look at the outside very much. I look inward and try to focus on, what do I feel? What am I seeing? In the hopes that by sharing what's going on in me, it maybe resonates with someone else. I can't predict what someone else would like. And I don't think anybody can. So if I'm authentically true to myself, that's the best chance of someone else liking something. People like to be accepted. People want to be accepted. And I'm suggesting in the book that the best way to be accepted is to be yourself. It's not to change yourself to what someone else thinks. First of all, you don't really know what someone else thinks. And if you're not genuine to yourself, there's like nothing is there. It's just a projection or a mask. It's not true. In a sea of information, the more yours is personal, the more it's not like hers or his or theirs. It's yours.
Yeah.
There are these different points of view around us. If we're all thinking the same thing, it's boring. Why would we make anything if everyone thinks the same thing? What makes us interesting are the differences. And even the imperfections. The imperfections are what makes us humans, what makes us what we are. As we get new information, we have to evolve. How can we live in an old belief? If you believe the same thing that you believed 20 years ago about everything, I don't know that you're living. There's so much middle of the road, and it doesn't interest me. I want it because it's louder, quieter, softer, harder. It's pushing some boundary. That's why I take notice. It's not more of the same. It's not just another. It's the one that makes you, like, you stop and, did I really hear that? Did I really see that? What's going on here? What you see a movie where you have to lean forward and pay attention, like, what's happening? It's not just the audience's hand is being held and walk through a story simply. I like the complexity and difficulty that forces me as the viewer to participate in what's going on. I'm not just being carried along. If I like it, that doesn't mean anything. That's what people think. It's like, just because I like it, that doesn't give it any value. It's like, as an artist, if you like it, that's all of the value. That's the success comes when you say, I like this enough for other people to see it. Not other people like it, so it's successful. That doesn't mean anything, because that's other people liking it is out of your control. All that's in your control is making the thing to the best of your ability. I talk about it, usually the way I talk about it is greatness. And that's the way I thought of it my whole life, was my interest is in making something great. Greatness, lasting greatness, timeless. And I came to realize recently, it's all an offering to God. And if you're making an offering to God, you're not thinking about, oh, what's the budget? Or I hope this segment of the audience is going to like it. We don't think like that. It's a higher vibration. We're making the best we can make to the best of our ability out of love and devotion. That's what it is. And there is no, I'm changing it for someone else, because it can't be better than this devotional act that we're doing. There is no higher form. Most of the artists I work with don't read any criticism or reviews of their work, good or bad. Most. Some do. And I would say the ones who are the strongest in who they are can even read a terrible review and laugh at it. And that makes sense because when someone gives you criticism, it's telling you as much about who they are as what you've made. It's like we make things and then we make it with one through our filter, our perspective. And then you receive it through your filter with your perspective. So even if we both like it, we probably don't like it the same way for the same reasons. We all have our own relationship to it. Everyone has their own relationship to it. So any of these metrics of which is better, like the idea of the Oscars or the Grammys, where we're saying which album is better than another, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's always apples and oranges. The only people who we can honestly compete with is ourselves. It's like, is this the best I can make today? Have I gone further than I've gone before? That's all we can do. That's the only competition that makes sense, is continuing to evolve and push ourselves artistically and not get complacent, especially in success. It's easy to get complacent once something works. It's like, I'll just keep doing more of that. It ends up maybe one more time you can get away with it, but once 3 are similar, it stops being interesting. It's the obsessive nature of being really into something that once you start down a thread, you just keep pulling forever if you're interested. Many of the artists that are great at what they do are great at what they do for that very reason. They fall in love with this thing, and then they just want to know everything they could possibly learn about it. And there are no distractions. I'm working on a project now, a documentary project with comedians. And one of the things that they talk about is their commitment. Like when other people are doing things on the weekend, going out with their friends, they're going to perform every night that they can possibly go out and perform until they can get good at their craft. And this could be for a period of, 10 years of just having bad performances, having people not like what you do, like banging your head against the wall. But that obsession with breaking through. And when I say breaking through, I don't mean breaking through to the audience. I mean breaking through with themselves to where they get past all of the blocks and to be free in this moment in a way where they can really express their views and be heard and people can react. It's a fascinating thing. Well, I think in general, people don't like to be told what to do. Yeah. So the best way that you can inspire someone to do something is through the way that you carry yourself. And if you act in a creative way in the world and you do it to the best of your ability, and if someone else recognizes it, it might inspire them to do the same. So I think it's hard to teach someone something that we don't practice. We have to practice it. Maybe your purpose in life isn't related to your job. Maybe your job is your job, and the job is the thing that supports you. And then the rest of your waking hours are devoted to your purpose, whatever that is. If you need to have a job to support yourself, that's great. That's a noble thing to do. And follow your dreams. But I'm not saying they're one thing. Yes. They don't have to be one thing. And don't let following your dreams undermine your ability to support yourself. It could actually do the opposite. If you decide, I want to be a comedian and I'm putting all my eggs in the comedian basket and I'm going to be a comedian, the pressure of having to support yourself will change you as a comedian, not for the better. You want the stability of being able to take care of yourself in the world, to be free to do whatever your passion is, whatever it is. I think there's a mythology that the people who make things that we love are special people, and that we think that they're, the people on Mount Olympus, and they're these magic people who are geniuses, and then there's the rest of us. And that's not the case. It's like we're all just people. We're all doing our best. We all are good at some things, not good at other things. We're humans. And sometimes we find a way to make something beautiful. And the call came, how do you feel? You have the #1 album in the country. And I remember saying, I've never been more unhappy in my life. And I think we mistakenly think some kind of outward success is going to change something in us, and it does not. It may make life more comfortable, but it doesn't change who we are. And any hole in ourselves that we're hoping to fill does not get filled. And if you spend, let's say you spend 20 years of your life working towards a goal that's going to solve everything, and then you finally achieve what you've been trying to do for 20 years, toiling away, I won't have any fun because I'm working for 20 years for this end, and then you get that end and nothing changes, that's when you get hopeless. So it's not uncommon to see very successful artists who are very unhappy in life because they're working towards the thing that's going to make them feel better. And it does not make them feel better. I'm sure you've got to meet many very successful business people, billionaire people. Very few of them are happy. Very few. And they've accomplished their dreams and are unhappy because we don't know what we want. We don't know what's going to make us happy. We're trying to fill something that maybe can't be filled through material or cultural success, public success. It's something else. It's some internal thing. Don't do things just because you think you're going to get something for it. That's not why we do things.
Yeah.
Do what's interesting to you. Follow what's interesting. Don't worry about the outcome.
Yeah.
We don't know. We can't predict the outcome. We can never predict the outcome. Follow your own inner guide. It directs us. It might not make sense. It might not make sense to us. Might not make sense to anyone else. Certainly won't make sense to anyone else. But it might not even make sense to us. And that's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Listen to yourself. Why is it telling you this? There are levels of wisdom that we don't know. We don't understand. So when you have an intuition to take the stairs instead of the elevator, or I always go home this way, but today, for some reason, I feel like going this other way.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm going to cross the street and walk on that side of the street. Whatever it is, whatever little intuitions in your body that come, listen to them. See what happens. Be open to, there's more going on than we know.
Yeah.
There's a lot more than our conscious mind can pick up going on. The wisest thing we can do is know enough to know we don't know.
Yeah.
If you start from maybe that's true, it could work, who knows?
Yeah.
Not hold anything so firm as this is the way it is.
Yeah.
I know how it is. Anytime you know how it is, your world just got a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Tiny.